Oh, hi. So nice to see you via Zoom. I'm just here rotting in my house. How are you? In life, I can be pretty ADD. I have random thoughts that plague me. I can push them away in the day when I'm out and about, but at night around 3 a.m., they tend to pop the fuck out. I ask myself things like, does Brad Pitt finally impress Shania Twain? Will Spirit Halloween take over all the empty storefronts and eventually the world? Here are a few thoughts and stories that consume my everyday life. COVID didn't originate from a bat. The origins can be traced back to the millennial trend of making brooms stand on their own. The world tilted so far off of its axis from everyone doing it at once, then shit got weird. Spread that conspiracy theory.
I wish someone would have told me being an adult mostly consists of not knowing what you're doing, Googling it, and writing sorry for the delayed response emails until you die.
In 1998, my mother, Katie, and I went to see a performance of The Sound of Music on Broadway. At this time, I carried a Furby with me no matter where I went. I always had one on me. Hey, look, growing up, I knew a girl who carried around a hermit crab cage with no hermit crabs in it, so don't come for me. In the middle of the performance, this chatty ass Furby decided to start running its mouth, talking shit. This was pre-cell phone, so the original phone going off in the middle of a performance was a Furby. We fumbled trying to get this thing to shut up. We couldn't figure it out. Everyone was staring. This event has been seared into my brain. I live in fear that my Furbies will materialize and start chatting away in the middle of a performance. Or my cell phone will go off and you'll hear Ariana Grande's No Tears Left to Cry, and I will cry. Many tears. I will stare you down if you text in the middle of a performance. At my favorite but problematic show, Miss Saigon, a woman next to me was texting during the helicopter scene. I'm sorry, is there not enough going on for you to be engaged in? There's a fucking helicopter on stage.
Remember in 2010 when Paula Deen got hit in the face with a ham? Because I do.
When Jerry Orbach died, he donated his eyes. He gave the gift of sight to 2 New Yorkers. There are 2 humans roaming around the earth who can say they have one of Jerry Orbach's eyes. Try to remember when life was so tender that no one wept except the willow. Indeed. Therefore, there are 2 people who cry with one of Jerry's eyes. Wow. In 2008, rapper T.I. and Rihanna, who still hasn't given us a new album, released a song titled Live Your Life. And I thought to myself, yeah, the fuck have I been doing? Not living it. Then in 2019, T.I. publicly announced that he accompanies his 19-year-old daughter annually to her OBGYN to make sure her hymen is still intact. So I guess everyone but T.I.'s daughter, live your fucking life. Da, 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 da. One time, I saw an episode of Law & Order SVU in the early 2000s about gender reassignment. The doctor said, it's easier to dig a hole than build a pole. I nodded. I will never forgive that woman on that ranch for losing Shadow, Sassy, and Chance. I am never not thinking about the fact that the Teletubbies are actually 10 feet tall. Flintstone vitamins are fucking delicious. The sport called frisbee golf, where you go into the woods and throw a frisbee into a chain net standing next to some random tree, is the most pointless game to ever exist. It is probably the #1 cause of Lyme's disease. It was absolutely created by a man wearing Adidas slides with socks. Sprite Remix was fucking fantastic. A double feature of Finding Nemo and the original Pirates of the Caribbean movie with a large Sprite remix, finished off with Dippin' Dots, the ice cream of the future? Name a better day. I dare you. There's a movie on Lifetime called Did I Kill My Mother? If you have to ask that question, that's a pretty big issue. You should probably know that. How would you not know that? Is Bridgerton actually a good show? Or is everyone just super horny? Side effect of the pandemic. But I mean, hey, at least somebody's winning at quarantine. I described the show to my friend as super hot guys with sideburns I would literally drag a male for having in 2021. It wasn't offensive in terms of the show, it made sense for the time period. But if a man came up to me in 2021 with those sideburns, I would tell him to seriously reconsider his life choices. The actor who played Colin Bridgerton stepped onto screen, and I was like, Marius, what's good? He looked like he walked onto set after a matinee of Les Mis, and they were like, you can stay. I wanted him to give us 32 bars of empty chairs and empty tables. I now use hashtag Bridgerton on my Instagram posts to trick the algorithm into getting me more likes. I don't know if it's working. In the song One of Us, Joan Osborne asks, if God had a name, what would it be and would you call it to his face? What would you ask if you had just one question? To which I always look up to the heavens and yell, who killed JonBenet Ramsey? It is my number one question for God. In middle school, I took a trip with a local theater group to Disney World to perform. We also swung by Universal Studios. Yes, Taylor Swift was on this trip. We auditioned for Slime Time Live. Long story short, I made the cut and Taylor Allison Swift did not. I had to catch pickles in a bowl strapped to the top of my head. It was hands down the most athletic thing I have ever accomplished. I won a bike. David Arquette was there. So yes, I won that day. But Taylor Swift, she won in life. In 2019, I lost 2 raincoats. How my dumbass did this is still a mystery. The one was a Michael Kors raincoat that doubled as a spring jacket. I took this coat to 15 countries. I adored it. Vanished. The second was a more traditional, lightweight raincoat from Cat Kitson from the UK. Had forest animals all over it. So adorable. I am still angry about this and will be angry about it until the end of time. Sometimes when I see foxes and deer in my backyard, I think, fuck, I want my raincoats back. Or a conversation will die off, and all I can think about is the witchcraft that made both of these jackets disappear. Sometimes I consider putting out a small wanted ad with no questions asked, small reward, kind of like that time Lenny Kravitz tweeted out his email address because he lost a pair of vintage sunglasses and he wanted them back. I want them back. And if I ever find them, I'm going to be buried in them, so I never lose them again. These are some of my random thoughts. This is where we must part ways, or I'll keep you here all goddamn day. If you need me, I'm around, curating my Zoom background.